What's up, suckers? It's me again, and I am back, and I am reading more Nietzsche. We're reading part 3 of Thus Spoke Zarathustra. We are on the section titled On Virtue That Makes Small. So here we go. When Zarathustra was on land again, he did not proceed straight to his mountain and his cave, but he undertook many ways and questions, and found this and that, so that he said of himself, joking, "Behold a river that floats, winding and twisting, back to its source." For he wanted to determine what had happened to man meanwhile, whether he had become greater or smaller. And once he saw a row of new houses, then he was amazed and said, "What do these houses mean? Verily no great soul put them up as its likeness. Might an idiotic child have taken them out of his toy box? Would that another child might put them back into his toy box? In these rooms and chambers, can men go in and out of them? They look to me as if made for silken dolls, or for stealthy nibblers, who probably also let themselves be nibbled stealthily." And Zarathustra stood still and reflected. At last he said sadly, "Everything has become smaller. Everywhere I see lower gates. Those who are my kind probably still go through, but they must stoop. Oh, when shall I get back to my homeland, where I need no longer stoop before those who are small?" And Zarathustra sighed and looked into the distance. On that day, however, he made his speech on virtue that makes small. I walk among this people, I walk among this people, and I keep my eyes open. They do not forgive me that I do not envy their virtues. They bite at me because I say to them, small people need small virtues, and because I find it hard to accept that small people are needed. I am still like the rooster in a strange yard, where the hens also bite at him, but I am not angry with the hens on that account. I am polite to them as to all small annoyances. To be prickly to what is small strikes me as wisdom for hedgehogs. They all speak of me when they sit around the fire in the evening. They speak of me, but no one thinks of me. This is the new stillness I have learned. Their noise concerning me spreads a cloak over my thoughts. They noise among themselves. What would this gloomy cloud bring us? Let us see to it that it does not bring us a plague. And recently a woman tore back her child when it wanted to come to me. Take the children away, she cried. Such eyes scorch children's souls. They cough when I speak. They think that a cough is an argument against strong winds. They guess nothing of the roaring of my happiness. I like that fucking line. I'm sorry, dude. I can relate to that. Maybe I'm cringy for saying this, but I can relate to that about dealing with people. They cough when I speak. They think that a cough is an argument against strong winds. They guess nothing of the roaring of my happiness. We have no time yet, Zarathustra, they argue, but what matters a time that has no time for Zarathustra? And when they praise me, how could I go to sleep on their praise? Their praise is a belt of thorns to me. It scratches me even as I shake it off. And this too I have learned among them. He who gives praise poses as if he were given back. In truth, however, he wants more gifts. Ask my foot whether it likes their way of lauding and luring. Verily, after such a beat and tick-tock, it has no wish either to dance or to stand still. They would laud and lure me into a small virtue. They would persuade my foot to tick-tock of a small happiness. I walk among this people, and I keep my eyes open. They have become smaller, and they are becoming smaller and smaller. But this is due to their doctrine of happiness and virtue, for they are modest in virtue too, because they want contentment, but only a modest virtue gets along with contentment. To be sure, even if they learn in their way to stride and to stride forward, I call it their hobbling. Thus they became a stumbling block for everyone who is in a hurry. and many among them walk forward while looking backward with their necks stiff. I like running into them. Foot and eye should not lie, nor give the lie to each other. But there is much lying among the small people. Some of them will, but most of them are only willed. Some of them are genuine, but most of them are bad actors. There are unconscious actors among them and involuntary actors. The genuine are always rare, especially genuine actors. There is a little man here, therefore there is little of man here. Therefore their women strive to be mannish, for only he who is man enough will release the woman and woman. And this hypocrisy I found to be the worst among them. And even those who command hypocritically feign the virtues of those who serve. I serve, you serve, we serve. Thus prayers, even the hypocrisy of the rulers. And woe if the first Lord is merely the first servant. That's a bomb line, if the first Lord is merely the first servant. I was feeling, I'm not done yet, but I was feeling that fucking stride, dude. I could feel that when he said earlier, when he talks about, like, I gotta stop and say this. So, like, I do try to inspire people and stuff. But sometimes the truth about it is that they push forward my own arrogance and where I'm just a villain, a bad guy character. I feel that part, that it's like, okay, cool, now they're training. Like, let's just say they're training martial arts. So now they're training. To be sure, even they learn in their way to stride and to stride forward. I call it their hobbling. Thus they become a stumbling block for everyone who is in a hurry, and many among them walk forward while looking backwards with their necks stiff. I like running into them. Foot and eye should not lie, nor give the lie to each other. But there is much lying among the small people. Some of them will, but most of them are only willed. Those are all fucking good lines. Let me get back to this, though. In this hypocrisy, I found the word... Okay, no, no. If the first Lord is merely the first servant. Alas, into their hypocrisies, too, the curiosity of my eye flew astray. And well, I guessed their fly happiness, and their humming around sunny window panes. So much kindness, so much weakness do I see, so much justice and pity, so much weakness. Round, righteous, and kind they are to each other. Round like grains of sand, righteous and kind with grains of sand. Modesty to embrace a small happiness that they call resignation, and modestly they squint, the while for another small happiness. At bottom, these simpletons, that's my word, I love that word. At bottom, these simpletons want a single thing most of all, that nobody should hurt them. Thus they try to please and gratify everybody. This, however, is cowardice, even if it be called virtue. And if they once speak roughly, these small people, I hear only their hoarseness, for every draught makes them hoarse. They are clever, their virtues have clever fingers, but they lack fists. Their fingers do not know how to hide behind fists. Virtue to them is that which makes modest and tame. With that, they have turned the wolf into a dog, and man himself into man's best domestic animal. We have placed our chair in the middle, your smirking says to me, and exactly as far from dying fighters as from amused sows. That, however, is mediocrity, though it be called moderation, or though it be called moderation. That's vicious. I absolutely love it. I have to bring that line back up. When we first started reading Nietzsche, it was because I was reading the occult and I was reading so much LaVey that I said, hey, LaVey really is a lot of Nietzsche and Crowley skinned together for Satanism. And LaVey was big about man not denying his cardinal natures and bringing the beast out. So check it out. That's straight up LaVey. What LaVey would say was that, where was that? We placed... So and if they once speak roughly, these small people, I hear only their hoarseness. For, here's a liner. Virtue to them is that which makes the modest tame. With that, they have turned the wolf into a dog and man himself into man's best domesticated animal. And he's talking about slave morality and making you slaves. That's what it must be. But that's, Nietzsche, that's where LaVey got a lot of that from. I walk among this people, and I let many a word drop, but they know neither how to accept nor how to retain. They are amazed that I did not come to revile venery and vice. And verily I did not come to warn against pickpockets either. They are amazed that I am not prepared to teach wit to their cleverness, and to wit as if they did not have enough clever boys whose voices screech like slate pencils. And when I shout, curse all cowardly devils in you who like to whine and fold their hands and pray, they shout, Zarathustra is godless. And their teachers of resignation shouted especially, but it is precisely into their ears that I like to shout, yes, I am Zarathustra, the godless. These teachers of resignation, whatever is small and sick and scabby, they crawl to like lice, and only my nausea prevents me from squashing them. I love this. I love this kind of spite. I love this shit. Well then, this is my preaching for their ears. I am Zarathustra, the godless who speaks, who is more godless than I, that I may delight in his instruction. I am Zarathustra, the godless. Where shall I find my equal? And all those are my equals who give themselves their own will and reject all resignation. I am Zarathustra, the godless. I still cook every chance in my pot, and only when it has been cooked through there do I welcome it as my food. And verily many a chance came to me domineeringly, but my will spoke to it still more domineeringly, and immediately it lay imploringly on its knees, imploring that it might find a hearth and a heart in me, and urging with flattery, look, Zarathustra, how only a friend comes to his friend. But why do I speak where nobody has my ears? And so let me shout it out into all the winds. You are becoming smaller and smaller, you small people. You are crumbling, you comfortable ones. You will yet perish of your many small virtues, of your many small abstinences, of your many small resignations. Too considerate, too yielding is your soil. But that a tree may become great, it might strike hard roots around hard rocks. What you abstain from, too, weaves at the web of all human feature. Your nothing, too, is a spider web, and a spider, which lives on the blood of the future. And when you receive it, it is like stealing, you small men of virtue. But when among rogues honor says, one should steal only where one cannot rob. I will give eventually. That is another teaching of resignation. But I tell you who are comfortable, it will take, and it will take more and more from you. Oh, that you would reject all half-hearted willing, and become resolute in sloth indeed. Alas, you would understand my word. Do whatever you will, but first be such as you are able to will. Do love your neighbor as yourself, but first be such as love themselves, loving with the great love, loving with the great contempt. Thus speaks Zarathustra the godless. I want to read that sentence again. Do love your neighbor as yourself, but first be such as love themselves, loving with the great love, loving with the great contempt. Thus speaks Zarathustra the godless. But why do I speak where nobody has my ears? It is still an hour too early for me here. I am my own precursor among this people, my own cock's crow through dark lines. But their hour will come, and mine will come too. Hourly they are becoming smaller, poorer, more sterile, poor herbs, poor soil, and soon they shall stand there like dry grass and prairie, and verily weary of themselves, and languishing even more than for water, for fire. O blessed hour of lightning, O secret before noon, I hope yet to turn them into galloping fires and heralds with fiery tongues. They shall yet proclaim with fiery tongues, it's coming, it is near, the great moon. Thus spoke Zarathustra. So what Zarathustra is saying was that he came and tried to save the last man, and the last man, the people before they became the last man, and they laughed at him, So he went on his whole thing. Let's crush the fucking weak, fuck all that shit. Then he came back to his apostles, realizing more that the last man will be his own undoing. And so I think the kindness and being kind is more a flex out of irony in part 2. It's let's do all of this. And Zarathustra is now saying I don't even have to be the villain. Everything I warned about, everything I said to come to be of the last man, of your comfort, of your cowardice, of your slave morality, of your hiding from pain, your fear to grow and all stuff, will come and it will fucking devour you. He's like, and now it's here. I don't even have to fucking do shit. And that's fucking bomb. That's playing the fucking long game. I'm a rotten person, and most of you guys know that. One of my things about staying fit, staying in shape, training and things is there's a lot of people I don't care for. And I want to beat them in that fucking long game. And I don't want to just beat them. I want to fucking laugh and flex, because that's what this is really all about. I mean, life is the fucking greatest game of all, and then like everything else, and it's just a mini game. Isn't it crazy to think that those mini games you play are fucking games within a game for the most part? It's wild shit. So tomorrow will be the next sections are called Upon the Mount of Olives. It feels good again to be reading this. I'll be posting it like I do, both from my YouTube and from here. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for checking it out. I appreciate feedback and comments and whatever else. Peace and much love, suckers.